Square Cow Countdowns. Hello everyone, I am Slash Raptor, and the topic for this countdown is the top 10 most unintentionally horrifying things in games. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, it's rule time. Remember, we're focusing on things that aren't supposed to be scary. Zombies, monsters, unsettling plot lines, and grotesque creatures are supposed to be scary, especially when they're found in survival horror games or horror games. So, games like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, or Dead Space don't qualify for this list. I don't have to have played any of the games on this list, because I play a lot of games that have intentional scares in them, so this list would be really boring without this rule in place. As for why this video is a Halloween special but was uploaded in November, let's just say that I was aiming for a fashionably late sort of thing, but waited too long. And, Spoiler Llama ate a bunch of my candy and is on a sugar hype, but I think he can still do his job should the need arise. Which means it's time to face our fears and start the countdown.
Number 10.
Number 10. The Statue of Happiness, Grand Theft Auto 4. In Grand Theft Auto 4, there was a large statue that was an obvious tribute to the Statue of Liberty. The only difference is that the Statue of Happiness was constantly smiling, and had a ladder inside it which led to a beating heart. For some reason, the statue looked a lot like Hillary Clinton. I suppose it could be worse, though. I mean, at least it doesn't look like Joan Rivers.
Number 9.
Number 9. Psycho Mantis, Metal Gear Solid, Twin Snakes. You know how some actors do movies that essentially ruin their entire careers? Well, I found a boss that did that to a franchise. Psycho Mantis is extremely annoying. There's more cutscenes than combat, and the whole fight itself is bull***. He claims that he can read your mind and predict your every move, which you later counter by switching the port that your controller was in. What's disturbing about this boss is the way his mind works. He's a ruthless SOB and deserved much worse than he got. To add insult to injury, you take off his mask to reveal that he has all sorts of stitches, as if he was into self-mutilation. You know, from this angle, he kinda looks like my prom date. And no, she wasn't my cousin. She was my second cousin.
Number 8.
Number 8. Demon's Gate, Final Fantasy VII. This boss scares the crap out of me. I think it's because of the graphical limitations in the game. Its face looks distorted and stretched out, and the way its arms and neck flail around while trapped in the wall freaks me out. Plus, I used to have nightmares about it because for the longest time I was stuck at the end of Disc 1. I was struggling on this boss because I sucked hardcore back then. My characters were so weak that they all died in one hit. Cloud was the only one that had his level 2 limits. I didn't own any defensive materia, and the stuff I did have was still in its most basic state. Plus, I always had Kate Sith in my party. What can I say? I was naive. Just like the people who buy those bottles of Evian water. Psst! Evian is naive spelled backwards.
Number 7.
Number 7. The Descendants, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. Remember those undead creatures that Nathan Drake first meets in the later chapters of the original Uncharted game? Turns out they aren't just vicious monsters who protect the island so that nobody will find El Dorado. The monsters are called Descendants because they are the inbred descendants of the Spanish colonists that Sir Francis Drake was competing with to find the fabled gold of El Dorado 400 years ago. The Spaniards found the treasure first and relocated it to the island where the game takes place. Once they brought it there, the Spaniards opened their sarcophagus and were subsequently infected by an airborne virus that was inside it. Francis Drake recorded all this in his diary and then burned the Spanish ships so that the evil curse would remain trapped on the island forever. Remember this the next time you get grounded, and keep in mind that you still have it better than the Spaniards.
Number 6.
Number 6. Clotho, God of War 2. Fun fact for you. In the original Greek mythology, the Sisters of Fate were all beautiful, and by that I mean anywhere between 8 and 10 on the hotness scale. So, Chubby Chasers, is Clotho doing anything for you? I sincerely hope not. See now, Clotho is what I would consider to be indecent exposure, but yet all the attractive, carefree women are the ones that get arrested for going around topless, and they've only got 2 tits. Clotho has upwards of 20. She's got such a huge rack that it takes up 3 f***ing stories. I wonder how many bras it would take to cover them all. Here's another fun fact for you. Apparently they used Rosie O'Donnell as inspiration for Clotho's in-game model. I believe it. The resemblance is striking.
Number 5.
Number 5. Brawl Doll, Wario World. What's the first thing that pops into your head when you think of a suitable boss for a haunted house level? I'll bet you $50 that a giant possessed cherub-like doll never even crossed your mind. Well, I would have lost that bet if I had made it against whatever weirdo designed Wario World. However, if I was to bet that that person had a messed up childhood, I'd probably win. I mean, how else would a baby that can turn its neck 180 degrees to stare at you get created? Yeah, the neck thing doesn't scare me as much as it should, because my mom does that to me all the time.
Number 4.
Number 4. Majora, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. One of the things I like about video game storylines is when the developers inadvertently make a game have a different atmosphere than they originally intended. Majora's Mask is a prime example of this, as it has one of the darkest and most depressing plot lines in any Nintendo game to date. The story starts off innocent enough, but when the climax of the plot kicks in, we realize that every single person in Termina is going to die in 3 days when the moon crushes them. The only person that can save them is Link, who in this game is a cute and ambitious little kid with all sorts of masks and the ability to travel through time within the span of 3 days. Kinda lame, but what do you expect if he's not using a DeLorean to do it? Then when it comes to the last boss, it's a deeply disturbing battle against this freaky mask that eventually sprouts limbs and runs around like a headless chicken while squealing like a kindergartner. In an ironic twist, Majora's Mask is rated E, while Twilight Princess is rated T. Why is it ironic? Because Twilight Princess isn't dark. It tried to be, but failed miserably.
Number 3.
Number 3. Seaman. From, well, Seaman. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, Spock, Leonard Nimoy, was the narrator of an obscure Sega Dreamcast game called Seaman. Or maybe it was Seaman. Whatever. From what little I've seen of it, I think the point of the game is to raise a creepy breed of fish called a seaman that has an equally creepy human face, which can talk to you a lot and won't shut up. For the most part, the game seems boring and uneventful, until you add a second seaman and they start breeding, because the way that they mate is hands down the most revolting and terrifying thing you'll ever see in your life. I'm gonna show it to you to prove my point, but to lighten the mood a little bit, I'm playing some 70s style porno music. Now, if that didn't scare you to your very core, then you are one sick little monkey.
Number 2.
Number 2. Matt Helms. No More Heroes 2, Desperate Struggle. Purely by coincidence, Matt Helms has many similarities to other things on this list. For starters, he wears a mask. Secondly, his mask is constantly smiling, and thrice, he's an undead pyromaniac with a crazed high-pitched laugh. But those are all just the minor aspects about him. The real reason for his placement at number 2 is because he was abandoned as a young child, and then when he was about to die in a house fire, he made a pact with the devil to come back to life and kill his parents. Flash forward to present day, where Travis Touchdown just defeated him by stabbing his head, causing it to explode. But wait, it gets creepier. After that, this happens.
What's a kid doing here?
I'm gonna kill you.
What's that?
So yeah, that's why I put Matt on this list. Flash forward 10 seconds and it's recap time, where we flash back to the beginning of the episode. Okay, go. Number 10, The Statue of Happiness. Number 9, Psycho Mantis. Number 8, Demon's Gate, which rhymes. Number 7, The Descendants. Number 6, Clotho. Number 5, Brawl Doll. Number 4, Majora. Number 3, Seaman. And number 2, Matt Helms. Which brings us to...
Number 1.
Number 1. Pandora. Persona Revelations. You know something is horrifying when it's the basis of an entire countdown. I knew from the get-go that this boss would be on this list. After that, I had to work backwards to complete the rest of it. Not surprisingly, Pandora is from a Japanese game called Persona, and as you can probably already tell, Pandora is basically a grotesque spider with an inside-out vagina. At the tip of it, there's what looks like butt cheeks, a whole bunch of legs, and even a woman's face. Do I really need to describe this monstrosity in more detail? When you kill it, some sort of butterfly emerges from the body, as if the whole thing was a cocoon. Nice try, developers, but the damage has already been done. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Click here to watch the collab version of this countdown, which has slightly different content, or click here to be taken to the list of all the other countdowns I've done so far. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.